Yeah, when your war strategy has even Maria Bartiromo struggling to get on board, things aren't going well for the president. Especially when it's clear that she was getting the "let's wrap this up" sign from behind the camera.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be, or the same, or maybe a little bit higher. But it should be around the same. I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be, or the same, or maybe a little bit higher. But
the problem for Donald Trump's Iran war strategy is no longer coming from critics or even just coming from the Pope, who he is now attacking.
Did you attack Pope Leo on Truth Social?
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo.
He said that the message of the church, my message, the message of the gospel, blessed are the peacemakers. I do not look at my role as being a politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing. And I will continue to speak out loudly against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states, to look for just solutions to problems. Too many people are suffering in the world today. Too many innocent people are being killed. And I think someone has to stand up and say, there's a better way to do this.
Thank you very much.
But inside the very media ecosystem that is often so favorable towards the president and coddles him at every opportunity. During an interview on Fox on Sunday with Maria Bartiromo, Trump did anything but clarify the status of this ongoing conflict. In fact, he unraveled and jumped across all the greatest hits. The election was stolen, which we know Fox News have to tread carefully considering the fact they were sued to the tune of $700+ million for how they peddled those lies that were disproven.
But under Biden, who was an incompetent president, he was grossly incompetent. Look, the election was rigged. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that now. And it's all come out, and it's coming out. But under Biden, if you take a look at what happened, when he was president, that's a war that would have never happened. Russia attacking Ukraine.
Yep.
And I ended 8 wars, including Pakistan.
And if you didn't think he was trying to deflect, he of course brought up the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico just to make sure his voters and those who tune into Fox know that he's fighting for the things you truly believe in.
President, because you referred to a post that hundreds of super tankers are headed to the Gulf of America to buy oil and gas from the U.S. What can you tell us about that, sir?
Well, I can tell you that it used to be called the Gulf of Mexico. That's what I can tell you. Now it's called the Gulf of America because of me. One of my little things that I did, one of my little sidelines. And it's a great honor. People are so happy. You go to Louisiana, you go to Florida, you go to these states, Texas. They're so honored by it. I used to say, why is that the Gulf of Mexico when we have 93% of the frontage? And, it fronts 93% in the United States. I said, I think I'm going to change it to the Gulf of America. What a beautiful name. And I did. And I give a lot of credit to Google because once I filed the papers, I did it. And once Google Map changed, did it, it was a done deal. But we had lawsuits, we won everything. And it's now the Gulf of America, which I'm very honored by.
But do you expect super tankers?
I must tell you, I was thinking about calling it the Gulf of Trump. And I decided not to do it. I think maybe it was wise. I think that one maybe wouldn't have worked out. I'm not so sure. You'll have to tell me. But I was thinking about it's going to be called the Gulf of Trump. And then I said, that's not going to play too well.
But especially when the subject moved to gas prices, it was visibly clear that host Maria Bartiromo was rattled and didn't quite know how to take the segment going forward.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be, or the same, or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same. I think this won't be that much longer. They're wiped out, man. They're wiped out, and you don't get a fair shake. You don't get. We We need a free and fair press in this country. And I don't even know why people would do that. Why would they say how wonderful they're doing militarily? They're doing so well. The country is wiped out.
Trying to get a clear answer from Trump is a tough task at any given moment. But when he's on Fox News and he's rambling, going into territory that they've already faced major repercussions over, it's clear the interview wasn't going the way that they intended. And so they cut it early.
Said, we have the best military in the world. We have the best agency. We have the best intelligence, bar none on the battlefield, better described than I'm paraphrasing right now. But he said, but none of that matters. And all of that flies out the window without a commander in chief who has the political courage to put it into effect. And I know that's a different specific scenario than this, but I am reminded of that statement that all of our capabilities are rendered impotent and useless without a commander-in-chief and a president with the political and the geopolitical and the diplomatic vision to truly put American interests first.
But there is no consistent explanation of what his war strategy actually is. I mean, even Trump's own statements show it. How many times has he said the war was won and very complete? Then he went backtracked and said it was just the beginning and then threatened the most intense day of strikes. I mean, do we have to run through the timeline of all the things again that Meidas had recorded?
This is what he has said throughout the conflict, right? Are you ready? March 3rd, we won the war. March 7th, we defeated Iran. March 9th, we must attack Iran. Later, March 9th, the war is ending almost completely and very beautifully. March 11th, you never like to say too early you won. We won in the first hour. It was over. March 12th, we did win, but we haven't won completely yet. March 13th, we won the war. March 14th, please help us. Everyone open the Strait of Hormuz. March 15th, if you don't help us, I will certainly remember allies that I've insulted on the regular. March 16th, actually, we don't need any help at all. The Strait of Hormuz, we don't need it. March 16th later, it was just testing to see who's actually listening to me. We do need your help.
March 16th later again, if NATO doesn't help, they will suffer something very bad. March 17th, we neither need nor want NATO's help. March 17th later, I don't need congressional approval to withdraw from NATO.
March 18th, our allies must cooperate in reopening the Strait of Hormuz. March 19th, US allies need to get a grip, step up and help open the Strait of Hormuz that I previously claimed we don't need nor do we need your help. March 20th, NATO are cowards. March 21st, the Strait of Hormuz must be protected by the countries that use it. We don't use it. We don't need to open it. We have a bunch of oil.
Still with me? I know it's a lot. April 1st, we'll see what happens very soon. April 3rd, something big is going to happen. April 4th, said Iran must comply immediately or face further consequences. April 5th, open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, or basically the US will commit a genocide. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, who can forget that comment. April 7th, the whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. And now, today, I think we're up to date. Trump's claiming victory again.
But the thing is, the consequences are already showing up where Americans feel it the most, the economy.
So the president's right when it comes to military targets. However, the president is on the clock with the American people. New Fox News polling shows the president's approval rating taking a hit as gas prices rise from a month ago. 64% of registered voters disapprove of the president's performance on Iran. 71% of people disapprove of the handling of inflation. 66% disapprove of the performance on the economy. Now, all these are connected by oil, which can put pressure on increased prices. And that's why there's so much attention on the Strait of Hormuz.
And that's where it becomes politically significant and dangerous for the president. Because Fox News weren't attacking him. They were doing what they usually do, which is try to redirect the president.
But I will say that the president's demands, we have not reached any of those objectives. I have full confidence that the president is going to find some way to make this happen. But he said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that. And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off to stop the production of the long-range missiles. That's just a few of them on the president's proposal. The question is the president using this 2 weeks to give our soldiers a break, a rest, to see if we can get this ultimately done? We'll see.
And at the end of an interview, which I imagine was set up to try to ease the concerns of Fox viewers, who are, by the way, turning on Donald Trump in real time, according to their very own polls.
All right, you mentioned the president, his approval overall, 43%. disapprove 57%. On healthcare, it's 38%, 61% disapprove. A lot of Republicans looking at these numbers going, the midterms right around the corner. Do you look at approval? Are you looking at how the public is perceiving some of these actions?
The president saved Medicaid.
Instead, just produce more confusion, more contradictions, and visible discomfort from the host. And this instability and lack of clarity from the president is showing up not just in polling, but across local elections that we are seeing in areas that were staples for Republicans in the past are now competitive and up for grabs.
It's sad that we have to pay this much for gas right now.
Knowing that this is all connected to the war in Iran and oil prices going up and up, what's your reaction to that?
What, the war?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we don't even want to go there. That's a whole nother reaction. I don't understand it.
It's stupid. It's so stupid that I'm being forced to pay more at the pump for things that I don't have any say in, and that fundamentally I don't believe in. I don't have the time or mental energy to be thinking about this constantly. Please stop doing things that hurt my pocket.
Now, Steven, that man in the red hoodie, he actually didn't even fill up his tank completely. He told me he actually was just putting a little bit in before he finds a gas station with cheaper prices. Here, I want to show you the current price we're looking at. It's about $4.16. That's slightly above the national average today, $4.10. Yesterday's national average, we saw $4.09. A month ago, it was about $3.20. So we've seen quite a spike here. It's just one thing after another piling on top of each other, making the cost of living very, very difficult for working families right now.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.